Hello and welcome to the Pedders Suspension and Breaks Outer East Football Netball Show, brought to you by Gameface. I'm Adam Miller, and joining me in the studio is Steph Barkers and Adam Brogdon. Good afternoon, Steph and Adam.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you guys believe that the season is over?
No, definitely not.
What?
Not a chance.
Yeah.
I can't either. That's crazy. But hey, we're back. I'm still excited. We get to review everything today.
We most certainly do. And coming up in this episode, we'll bring you all the latest news from across our competition.
We have a special guest, talent manager for the Eastern Rangers, Danny Ryan. He joins us in studio off the back of his double premiership in the Coates Talent League.
We are going to look at best and fairest predictions today. So we're going to give you our best guesses for who will be taking out the League Best and Fairest, which are happening next weekend.
We'll also review the Premier Division Grand Finals from the weekend gone.
And of course, a huge thank you to Pedders Suspension and Breaks, partner of the Outer Eastern Football Netball Show.
All right, well, it's time for better news and making news this week. Of course, it is awards night taking place next Saturday, October 4. The event will be live streamed for those who want to tune in and see all the winners across the night. We'll also post them on our socials, of course. There are still some extra tickets available for people to bring partners, teammates, or family members. So please reach out to your club if you'd like an additional seat. It is first in, best dress. They are limited, so make sure you reach out in the next week.
Expressions of interest are now open for the 2026 Junior Interleague coaches, with applications closing on Monday, October the 6th. See our website or social media for details on how to apply.
Run by Netball Victoria, there is an introduction to umpiring workshop taking place on October the 3rd at Cardinia Stadium in Pakenham. There are topics covered such as characteristics of a good umpire, using the whistle and hand signals to communicate infringements and sanctions, and also umpire positioning on court. All ages are welcome to participate, and see our socials for the link to register.
Thank you so much to our special guest A-grade commentators from North East Blaze. Blaze are a great community partner of ours. We'd like to thank 23 and under player Matty George for commentating the Division 1 Grand Final, and the president Sarah Hogan for commentating the Premier Division Grand Final. Thank you very much, girls. Very good insights, and we very much appreciate the help.
Absolutely. It was awesome to have them on. All right, well, speaking of finals, it is our last Finals Fever segment for the year. We are going to review Premier Division. What a day. That was like... Some of those finals were insane.
Yes.
But yeah, it was a really interesting day. I wanted to specifically start off by pointing out both the A-grade netball and the C-grade netball, which was the exact same matchup, Mount Ev and Wandon. They both went to overtime, which is so exciting.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. And then you've also had the under-18s upset with Officer beating previously undefeated Mount Ev by a single point. Wow, my heart was all over the place all day. It was awesome. But what do you guys think of the day?
Oh, yeah, look, some, as you mentioned, some really interesting games there, particularly with a couple of netball games going through to extra time. And, Officer in that under-18s grand final was quite incredible. They played like a team with freedom. I think they just played like a team who almost saw it as a free hit. And I think, Adam, that just suited them quite well, to be perfectly honest, in that game. I think they just had no pressure and they played that way all day.
Exactly right. I think they came in knowing that the burden was on Mount Evelyn to win. You come into that grand final as an undefeated side, you have that pressure. It's yours to lose. And I think that Officer came in going, well, you know what, we're just going to have fun out there and just play some real good football. And that's exactly what they came out and did. They just shocked Mount Evelyn, and it was really, really well done and fantastic to watch. It was very entertaining football, certainly.
Most certainly.
I want to mention the A-grade as well. We did say on last week's show that we wouldn't be surprised if that went to overtime.
No.
For obvious reasons. It did. As I was walking back towards the netball from the football while the A-grade was on, I had a couple of people walk past me and say, you guys were right. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then when I got back over there, I realised, oh my God, it's in overtime. And that's why everyone is screaming so loud. But wow, Wandon to get it by 2 goals when Mount Ev at one point did have a 6-goal lead in that game.
Yes, they most certainly did.
So talk to me about that game.
Yeah, well, it was redemption for Wandon, but it was an all too familiar feeling for Mount Evelyn, unfortunately, for them. But this was such a seesawing game all day. Mount Evelyn led at quarter time, Wandon led at half time, then Mount Ev regained the lead at 3/4 time. It was level, obviously, on the final siren. I'm pretty sure it was level at the end of the first half of overtime, and then Wandon did trail by 3 goals at one point. They were in overtime, so there was so much opportunity really for Mount Ev, to be perfectly honest. But Wandon, they just kept digging deep. They never gave it up. It was an incredible victory because they, in a lot of crucial stages, particularly late in the game, they were down. But as I mentioned, they found a way. They avenged the 2023 grand final loss. Obviously, they didn't even get to the grand final last year, so it was a commendable effort. Some of the good players from Mount Evelyn, I thought Caitlin Black did a pretty good job on Amalia Blake. Amalia, 26 goals for the day, which is good, but if we're being completely honest, a bit honestly lean for Amalia standards. We know how many goals she can score. She had 917 coming into the day. So I thought KB did a really, really good job considering. Ella Bales and Kayla Swindle both fantastic through the mid-court. We hadn't actually called a Mount game since going back to round 2. So we hadn't really gotten a chance to get a good look at that new kind of mid-court duo between those two in centre and wing attack. But I think they've really formed a great connection. Actually, one thing interesting to mention as well, Steph, that's actually the first ever time I've called a Mount Evelyn Wandon game in the A-grade netball 4 seasons. So there's the first ever time I actually got a real look at that matchup. So really, really good first up. But yeah, going back to those are some of the good players from Mount Evelyn. Going across to Wandon, as mentioned, Amalia probably didn't have her best day, but I thought Lauren Spinks really stood up in goals. I thought she was quite good. She had 24 goals, and she had a bit more responsibility because Amalia had to deal with that matchup of Caitlin Black. So I was really impressed with her. Maddie Allmeyer, again, I thought really, really good through the mid-court. She was absolutely fantastic, feeding both those goalers. She was just everywhere as well. And Maddie George, fantastic. She got the best on-court medal, and I think much deserved as well. Started in wing defence, like we've seen her do a lot more this year, but then she shifted back into that goal defence position that I think we know Maddie George best for. And lots of crucial intercepts. And there were just points in the last quarter, and particularly in extra time, when she just looked exhausted. She was giving it everything, and they were offering for her to come off, get Kai Kipton on, give her a quick breather, but she just kept waving off the bench and going, no, I'm getting my team over the line, and she did that. She showed a lot of heart, she showed a lot of resolve, and got a team over the line. But it was a fantastic win for Wandon. As mentioned, it was tough to see that happen to Mount Evelyn again, but it was also great to see Wandon also avenge some recent heartbreak, because both of them were really trying to redeem the last couple of years. So, it was a great win by Wandon.
Absolutely. Shout out to Wandon, but to Mount Ev as well. It was an incredible game. It was good to watch, which is exactly what you want from a grand final. You couldn't have asked for more than that. I do want to touch on the reserves as well, because Up Way Tacoma, after 4 years, finally get it done. They've been in so many losing grand finals, and it felt a nice moment for them to finally get there.
And all of those years they'd finished top of the ladder too, Steph. So they'd been the best team, but just couldn't quite get it done. But Adam, you did get to call this game. Take us through it.
So that reserves game was rather interesting. Upweight getting the win over Mount Evelyn. It was quite a low-scoring game. And so the first half, it was very, very tight and low-scoring. And then the second half, Upweight just came out and won it through the hands of one man in particular. Thomas Brady kicked 5 second-half goals, 4 of them in the last quarter, really carried his side home. And you can tell he's a bit of a crowd favourite as well.
Oh, definitely.
There's a huge crowd behind the back of the goals that I thought they were going to storm the field when he kicked his second, I'm going to be honest. So they had provided so much energy, and you could really feel that Up Way Tacoma were just up and about. And that's exactly what you want in a grand final. As soon as you kick maybe 2 or 3 goals in a row, especially in such a low-scoring affair, that's what can win you a game. So it felt really well from the box. It felt you could feel the energy from the field completely coming away from it, and it was really exciting to watch. And I didn't know how many they were going to kick. I didn't know if we were going to see 5 goals in the second half. And then all from one guy, Thomas Brady, who I don't know if he touched the ball in the first half, but he stood up like no one else in that second half and really just put the game on its head and won the game. There's a reason he got the best on ground medal.
Definitely,
and it's fully deserved. So, well done to Up Way Tacoma, well done to Tom Brady.
The last one, of course, we have to mention is the senior football. Now, it was the first time that we've ever seen Wandon and Alinda Fernie Creek in a grand final. We all thought it was going to be close, but Aiden, you did mention something last week that I think is probably true. I think maybe you mentioned it on grand final day. We all really thought it was going to be a lot closer than it was, and I think you were right when you said something along the lines of it felt like maybe Wandon had held back a little bit over the last couple of weeks, and then they got to that grand final and just went bang and showed everyone what they'd sort of been building up to.
The second half of the year, we definitely noticed that they were rotating a lot more players up from the reserves, the 18s. Nick Adam even mentioned the speech, a couple of under-16s players like Camden Jones, for example. So I think whilst they weren't winning games quite by the big margin they were in the first half, that wasn't because they dropped in form. I think Nick Adam was really starting to test out the depth of his side, and I rate Nick Adam very highly as a coach. I think he's a very smart coach. He speaks really well, as we saw in the grand final speech afterwards. He was fantastic. And he would have known if they were to run into injuries, not that they really did, but if they were to run into a big injury problem, he was going to know which players he could bring up from the reserves of the 18s to fill the holes in that senior footy side. But I just kind of reckon, whilst we maybe thought it was going to be close, I think Wandon, once it got to grand final day and it was that really important day, they were going to go back to their best, and that's exactly what happened. It looked like in the first quarter, like Olinda Fernie Creek had a bit of a godsend, but Aaron Mullet didn't actually have his radar in front of goal. He was 1 goal free at quarter time, and it was only a 7-point difference. But then he found his radar, and it really just kind of opened up from there. And Adam, they just dominated from quarter time onwards, really.
Yeah, honestly, so at the quarter time siren, we were like, okay, like the Wandon aren't completely on top here.
No.
Like they had a lot of possession, but they weren't doing a whole lot with it. That we thought maybe some advantage could be taken. But then, like you said, I think that the reason that Wandon are so good is they're quite resilient.
Yeah.
And they've got all of those players that can play in every single role in the field, it seems. And just with those two together, they came out in the second quarter and just knew how to, knew tactically exactly what to do, and it just worked from the get-go. So they just started putting on goals. Like you said, Aaron Mullet was 1-3 and then proceeded to be
10-6,
4-3, and then 10-6.
Yep.
So he didn't have. He went from kicking 1-3 and then reversed his score in the second quarter, and 10-6, which you look at that on paper and you go, he could have had 15 in a grand final. And Olinda Fernie Creek, obviously, like the pressure put on him in the first quarter has reduced that chance. And I thought it was quite well done. It just, Wandon really, truly showed us how dangerous they are. And look, we knew coming into the grand final that they were going to be very good, and they have been very good. And there was no putting any shade in Wandon's direction. It was, they can just do it like that. Maybe like you said, Aidan, just pulling back a little bit in the second half of the year, putting in their reserves players, some of their junior players, and testing out their depth in case they needed it. But they didn't, and so they just came out swinging on grand final day.
No, they most certainly did. Joel Garner was fantastic as well with 6 goals. Cody Hurst just felt like he had the ball on a string, to be perfectly honest. Daniel Willis, he's been one of the recruits of the season in that back line for Wandon. He picks off everything, and he's a great user by foot as well. Takes a lot of those kick-ins. He just gets them moving out of defence so nice. There so many players I could speak quite well of, because they just had so many good performers across the day. Good to see Tommy Molino bob up and kick a couple of goals. He was kind of the heartbreak story for them last year. He got left out of the side when Cody Hurst sort of miraculously came back in after missing most of the season. So, but I guess the good thing for Tom was missing out last year. If you were going to miss one of these 3 grand finals last year, was probably the one because they didn't win, but he came back in and he got to be a part of it this year and kicked a couple of goals himself. So, but no, it was fantastic effort by Wandon. They were the best team in it all season, and they were just too good for Olinda Fernie Creek on grand final day. The Bloods had a great season, but probably just didn't quite have their best performance on grand final day. But mind you, it was going to be pretty hard with Wandon playing as well as they did.
Yeah, and honestly, I know what the score ended up being, and yes, it was a big margin. I think Olinda have a lot to take away from this year. I think what Dylan Wilson has done with that group
100%,
is incredible. I think they've come a really long way, and I mean, it wouldn't have mattered who was coming up against Wandon. It was always going to be tough.
I 100% agree. I think it was going to be a tough assignment for anyone. But you're right, Olinda Fernie Creek were 5th last year. They didn't play finals in 2023, so they've come a long way. And it's a character building experience. I think they've just got to try and they've got to be able to move on from it. Address it first, but then go into next season. Okay, you've got a grand final under your belt. Now let's try and do everything that we can to flip the result next year. So we'll see what happens. But it was a great season overall, but Wandon were just fantastic. And props goes to Wandon. They were just brilliant all year and the best team.
Since 1950, Pedders have understood that every customer's journey is different, but our solution remains the same: to get you where you want to go as safely as possible. We believe it's not just the destination that matters, but also the journey, and we are committed to creating better journeys for everyone.
We'll now go over to our special guest for this week's show. It is Danny Ryan, the Eastern Ranges Talent Manager.
Danny, thank you for joining us in the studio, mate. We really appreciate you giving us your time out of your day. Obviously, it's been a really good weekend over the weekend with the Eastern Rangers taking out both the premierships in the boys and girls. How proud of you of that achievement, because we have just heard it is the first ever time that a Coates League club has won both the boys and girls in the same season.
Yeah, look, Aidan, we're extremely proud of this achievement. And yes, it is the first time it's happened in the Coates Talent League, and I think it's just a great reward for the hard work that everyone's been putting in. And we talk about there's so many different layers to the support we get to play on grand final day. and what the local clubs and their coaches are doing out there, the local competitions and the interleague. We know the Outer East Interleague has been a fantastic part of the pathway for us coming through at Eastern Rangers, and I think it's important for us to recognise we're only as strong as what the local clubs and communities clubs are and the teams are, and they're doing a fantastic job in developing players and coming through. But it is a tough gig. We made a lot of decisions early in the year to reduce our squad to a lower sort of number, and we normally sit around 45 to 50. So this year we went to about 40 players on our list, hoping that we'll be able to add players throughout the year. So there were some players that missed out this year in February when we made our cuts for our season, and it was a really tough one because some of those players are very good players, and we found some homes at other regions for them. But at the end of the day, it gave us the opportunity to bring in some kids from outside our program that were playing really well at local level, and Sully Roby, who's really is in the media at the moment, and he's hot topic. And then Big Mark Krasnodarsky was another player we brought in halfway through the year. So we thought some tough decisions early in the year actually allowed us to sort of bring in players from outside our program mid-season who were performing well at local level.
Yep. What was the reasoning for shortening down the list to 40 players?
Basically that. It's a tough one to manage. There's a lot of things thought go into picking our squad. We've got a lot of kids that some years we've got a larger number of private school kids that come through that obviously once a APS and AGS school kicks off about after round 4 for us, for about 10 to 11 weeks, we don't see those players. So sometimes we might have more of our talent that are a part of that system that then we have to have a larger squad to bring in. This year we thought, well, let's just see what transpires, because we know over the last couple of years we've seen some really good players out at local, and it's been really hard to get them in because we've had massive numbers sitting here on the training track. So we reduced it a little bit, both for the boys and the girls, and I think in the girls space we brought 2 or 3 girls in throughout the season who performed really well, and we've done it with the boys as well. So I think this year we'll probably look at the numbers again, where we sit, and then see what growth we can find from outside our program.
Yep. In both of these grand finals, we had 8 Outer East football netball players who were playing in those games. Can you take us through those players and just a little bit about their game styles?
Yeah, well, in the boys' space, we had Archie Spencer, who is a Woori Yallock player, bottom major, a real tough nut. He's a coach's favourite. He'll go out and play his role each week. He had a huge final series for us. Marcus Krasnodarsky, I think the first 40, 50 games of his career was at the Gembrook Football Club.
Yep.
He's come through. He was a high-end basketballer that we picked on our squad last year, but he was part of national programs and state programs. But unfortunately, or fortunately for us, he missed out on an Australian basketball program early in the year, decided to go back to footy, and we've brought him back into our program. And also the third one was is Oscar Taylor, who is one of the draft bolters this year. He played a lot of his football, probably 100-odd games at Upwey Tacoma Junior Football Club. We've seen him come through the interleague program. He is an absolute draft bolter, and we're really hoping that he'll go in that first round.
Yep.
And our girls, we've always had a really strong numbers from the Outer East program, especially in the girls space. I know Mount Evelyn and a few of these clubs over the last few years have had great numbers come through and a lot of talent. And at the moment, Healesville Junior Football Club have got quite a few. So we've had Adelaide Caldecott and also Bridie Anderson came through and had huge games. They're calling Adelaide Caldecott, she took like a Leo Barry mark in a really important part of the game, time of the game. She's come along really well with Brianna Lamb, who's played a lot of footy at Emerald. She played a full forward for us this year and kicked a lot of goals. And she added a lot of value to the football club. And then they're also both the Wilkinson sisters who played at Emerald as well. They both had fantastic seasons, and there's a lot of interest from AFLW clubs in that. And we did some trials on Monday, and there's another Wilkinson's coming through as well.
Yes.
And we had quite a few, and then even like a Paisley Stock, who's also unfortunately got injured, but we rate her as a really highly talent. So she'll be coming through next year. She's got plenty of time. And as we said, we started our trials, and there's a lot of kids that are out there in the Outer East that trialled very well the other day. So we're looking forward to seeing what that looks like moving forward.
Yep. LJ and Jared have now been both coaching at the club for a little while. How important do you think their impact has been in getting the club some success?
Oh, huge. As I said, Jared's had the pathway. He's come into an Outer East interleague program, and then as an assistant coach, then took over as head coach, and then came into our under-16s program. And then now he's the head coach of our girls program here. So his growth and to see him develop as a coach and as a person's been incredible. And the support he does, he puts everything into it, and there's no stone unturned. For Jared, he's and both of them have got the education teaching background, so they really know how to educate the players, the best way to sort of tap into them and get the best out of them. And LJ's the same. Fantastic what she does. She can just set the week up for the players. It's a really clear message and clear role clarity around what the players have to do each week. And then she sets them up and gives them every opportunity. So you don't come in for 1 or 2 games and have to perform and you're out. Both of them will really give them an opportunity to find your feet at this level and then hopefully make the most of it.
Yep. The girls have gotten really close the last couple of years, just fallen a bit short. What changed the fortunes this year in getting the win?
There's probably a little bit more luck. In like the previous years, we've had a lot of injuries. Like I think even we've lost the last couple of grand finals, but before that, we were probably in 2022. We had Bridget Deed, who was our captain, averaging 35 possessions a game.
Yep.
Gets drafted about 3 weeks before our final series, so she couldn't play. Alicia Pisano does an ACL. Mia Austin, who's at Carlton as well now, had a syndesmosis. So we lose a prelim by a point. And, the next year we got to a prelim again and had a couple of other serious knee injuries that sort of derailed it. This year we had a pretty healthy list. But I think that there's a lot of resolve from past losses that they've really knuckled down. But the talent from the girls' space is just getting better and better every year. And as I said, we've got a really strong catchment area. Like we've got the Eastern Football League, got the Outer East, Yarra Juniors, we've got some players that come out of the South Metro. So these competitions are getting stronger and stronger, which then relates to us having more and more talent. So I think there was a real desire this year to go one better than other years, and they were very great. They were very good on the day, and really, just results for all the hard work that they've done.
Yep. The boys trailed the game at 3/4 time. How were they able to turn the tides in the last quarter and win the game from being down?
It was a tough one. There was a little bit of a breeze out there, but I think each quarter there was a shift in who was leading at half time. Ollie Greaves probably took mark of the year, or could have taken mark of the year with about 20 seconds to go, top of the goal square, and dropped it. And that probably would have put us 4 goals up at half time. So there was a moment there where I thought we've just about got them. But Sandringham, they're an incredible program. There's no doubt why they've been, the last 3 years have been champions of the Coach League. They're a very, very good team. And for us, that third quarter, they came out to play, kicked some really good goals, put some pressure on us. But really proud of our kids to be able to knuckle down. Like the game, really, with 4 or 5 minutes to go, it was anyone's to win. There was a couple of really big moments. Andy Barker, goal-saving, defending a defence. Came through 2 or 3 efforts to stop a certain goal, and then some brilliance from Zach Antonellis, who kicked 2 goals in the last couple of minutes to bob up as a bottom major. Great story there. He's been out injured all year with syndesmosis and came back. We qualified him the very last game of the year. He was managed to get into qualify, and he had a fantastic final series. So. It was a great day, great result for the club, and as I said, it's the shout out goes out to everyone involved. It's not just us; it's our staffing, it's our support, it's the parents, it's everyone around. So it's a proud day for the club. Yep.
Lastly, mate, if you had to pick one player from each side to get drafted, who would you go with?
Oh, that's a tough one. That is a really tough one. Well, I'm on the Outer East show, so I would say an Oscar Taylor, who obviously he's still playing some footy now at South Belgrade this year, so he's crossed over to South Belgrade and played some senior footy, but obviously played a lot of footy for Upway. Really love what he's been able to do. He just takes the game on. He's got speed. He's come, I wouldn't say he's come from a long way back. We always rated him very highly within the club, but to see what he was able to do, I think the first quarter he had 10, 11 possessions in that first quarter and really helped set us up, and he's going to go really high. So love to see him go well, but as I said, all the kids have all got a certain story, and as much as, it's going to be exciting for some of those kids come draft night, there's going to be a lot of kids that are going to miss out, and it's very similar to the weekend as well. we had 40 players on our list. There was a lot of kids there that played, 10, 12 games of football this year that weren't in our team come finals time. And, you really do feel for those kids. So a lot of them are bottom ages, so hopefully next year that they'll get the opportunity and we can be thereabouts next year. But and then from the girls program, it's a tough one. I'm trying to think. Where you're obviously the Wilkinson sisters that are a part of our program would be great. I think our captain in Taylor McMillan has been absolutely outstanding all the way through. She came in at a really high level as a 15-year-old, and she's come and her grand final was outstanding. So it'd be really great to see her. But as I said, all the girls have got and the boys have got some amazing stories. No one's really been gifted a game here. No one's guaranteed to be drafted, but a lot of these kids have really put the time and effort in. And it's going to be a long 2 months for them. They've got to wait. They've still got to get through their VCE and do their study. So that's where they're going to now. Some of the kids will go on to combines in the next couple of weeks. So it's a big time. It's a long wait. And it's a longer wait for the girls as well. I think the draft is in the middle of December. And I think the boys' draft's on the 20th of November. So a lot of time to go, and it's funny at this time of year, everyone will be rated where they think they're rated, and then 6 weeks later the ratings will change, and it's like, well, no one's played footy in 8 weeks, but somehow they're changing in where they're going to go. But we were really excited with what's going to happen over the next couple of months.
Danny, thank you so much for joining us, mate. Congratulations on the successful 2025 and good luck for 2026.
Thank you very much. All the best. Thanks.
Alrighty, guys, I'm really excited for this segment. I love Awards Night. I'm particularly excited for this year because we're trying all these new things. We've got the red carpet, we've got the DJ, we've got the bigger venue, we've got everybody together. It's going to be an amazing night. But before we get there, we wanted to make some predictions. So let's start off with Division 1. And netball for A grade. Who do you think is a chance of taking out League Best Fairest this year?
She's won in the last 2 years. I'm going to go with Alana McGurgan to take out the three-peat. She's had another fantastic season, I think. A big reason why Yarra Glen have been playing finals the last couple of years. She's got a great connection with Maddie Hargrave and the other goalers in that Yarra Glen side. And a really good leader as well of that side. And I think Alana really sticks out, so it's hard to go past her.
Three-peat would be pretty cool.
I think so, Yeah.
Adam?
I think for my Div 1 pick, I'm going to go with Cleo Mini, centre and captain of Seville. Obviously had a fantastic year. It's just kind of hard to go past, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good pick as well. For me, I think I'm going to go Ali Langdon from Warby. I think she's been thereabouts the past couple of seasons. And while they didn't win the grand final, I do think Ali, the whole Warby side still had a strong year, but I think Ali had a particularly strong year. And I reckon she's a chance. I'd like to see it. So, cool. All right. What about seniors? Div 1. If you had to pick, who'd you go with?
I really want to see this one happen. I'd love to see Ben Ratton get the fairy tale finish. It'd be, I believe, his sixth BNF medal overall, and I think he's going for the 5-peat. But this season, we take a look at Premier Data, averaging 43 disposals, 26 of those contested, 44 headouts with 8 of those to advantage, 16 clearances and 6 scorer involvements. So he's had another great year, and I just really love to see Benny Ratton go out in style. I think it would just be fantastic.
It'd be a good story. What about you, Adam?
Not to piggyback off after literally everything that Adam said, but it's hard to go past. You can't.
Definitely.
Ben Ratton has had a fantastic year. You cannot.
A fantastic career, really.
Career as well, yeah. So you nothing that you can say about Ben Ratton matches up to how good he's been. It's impossible to really speak how well he's played. And so, I think it's a must pick this year.
Yeah.
Again, that fairy tale ending as well.
Yeah, I mean, going into retirement, if you went into retirement with 6 league BNFs with 5 back-to-back, you'd be pretty happy.
You've earned it for sure.
Just a bit happy.
Just a bit happy. Well, we'll see. For me, I think I'm going to go with Austin Smith from Yarra Glen. Came back to the River Pigs this year. I think he's absolutely torn it up.
Definitely,
he's made such an impact. We saw him at the top of the stats most weeks. I think for me, he's probably the one that's tough to go past. I do want to make just a mention as well, Paddy Hoon from Warby Millgrove. Look, if he hadn't have gotten injured during the season, I think, honestly, he would have been my front runner, or at least a very strong smoky for me. So I'm a bit disappointed that Paddy got injured throughout the year, because I really think he would have been a chance. But obviously, at some point in the season, he's going to fall away because he wasn't playing. But yeah, I think honestly, that Div 1 count, I could see it being a close one, like a really interesting count.
But, yeah, it's a good point with Austin as well, because Yarra Glen really turned the form line around this. He didn't play finals, but it was a much better season than what it was last year. So, he was certainly a big factor in that.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go over to Premier Division, A-grade netball. Who are you going to go with?
This is always a tough one. I'm going to go with experience, and I'm going to go with Ella Bayliss from Mount Evelyn. She's just such a fantastic player. As mentioned, played a lot of netball with the Northeast Blaze through the VNL. Had a really, really good season this year. She's played most of the games. She didn't play as many games last year for Mount Evelyn, but she played pretty much most games this season. And, we saw her at her absolute best in that grand final. And that's, what she is. She's a big game player. Hard to go past Ella.
Yep.
For myself, I'm going with a little bit of a smoky pick. I've gone Chelsea Smith from Woori Yallock. Does play in that mid-court, and I thought she just had quite a strong year. Woori Yallock having quite a good side as well. Really strong connection. I just think, maybe Chelsea Smith. Bit of an unorthodox pick, but it's where I'm thinking.
I rate it because Woori, again, like compared to last season to where they got to this season, massive improvement, huge. So I rate that.
And then you go back 2 years ago, they didn't even have a netball side at all.
Exactly. So very impressive what they've been able to do over the past couple of years. So I think that's a good pick. For me, I'm going to go, I guess, the other side of your coin with Ella Bayliss. I'm going to go KB, Caitlin Black from Mount Ev. I think while obviously Best and Fairest votes are based off that person's performance, I think like her coaching actually kind of comes into my reason for that. You have to have such a strong understanding of the game to be a great coach. And she coached 17s D, C, B, A this year, every Mount Ev side.
Yep.
They all made finals, including the A-grade team that she plays goalkeeper. And we know how strong she is as a player. We saw her against the likes of Amalia Blake through the finals on the weekend. She just has a great understanding of the game. It's not just her ability to be a leader on court. It's like being able to actually also teach others. And I think that just makes her like a really well-rounded, super strong player. So I think she's a shot.
I've always said she's just got a sixth sense for opposition mid-quarters of where they're going to place it. She just always seems to know where to go. It's incredible.
Yeah, so KB for me. All right, let's jump over to the senior footy for Premier Division.
I'm going to go with Geordie Williams from Woori Yallock. We take a look at the Premier Data stats. 29 disposals this season, 12 of those contested, 7 clearances and 6 tackles. And I think a big reason since he's come back into that Woori Yallock side, he had a bit of time with South Croydon a few years back, but been a big reason why Woori Yallock are a main contender for the finals in a lot of years. So, hard to go past Geordie.
Fair enough. Yep.
For myself, I'm going to go with Josh Tilley from Gembrook. And I thought he had a really great season. Every time that we commentated a Gembrook match, he was the standout. He's great he's breaking tackles, playing tough footy in the midfield, and can just dominate a game. And I just thought he had quite a good season. And then I didn't even realise how good his stats were until I went back and looked at them, and I just was like, no, I'm going to back him this year.
I think that's a good pick too. I'm going to go Matt Schoenberg from Olinda Fanny Creek. I know that might seem obvious because we know he's a former AFL player. Also, Linda obviously had a very strong year. I think for me, it's like his versatility. You can literally throw him anywhere and he will play that role perfectly. We even saw, I know finals don't count towards these votes, but we even saw, the guy's done an ACL and kicks 5 in the prelim. He's just unreal. So, for me, I think Matt will either win or get very, very close.
Fair enough.
This year. So, last but certainly not least, we wanted to look at women. So let's start with Div 1.
I'm going to go... Man, it was a bit of a tricky one because there's so many players who take votes from each other, but I'm going to back in Jess Hoskin. Had an incredible season. Great athlete as well because she also plays that A-grade netball side as well, so very, very talented. But, she was definitely featuring a lot in the team of the week, which is quite impressive to stand out in a standout team like Mount Evelyn. So I'm going to go with Jess Hoskin.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Jess Okapinti, had from Upway, had the win in finals this year and obviously won it last year. So to go back-to-back would be a fantastic end of the season, and just thought she had a really strong season.
Yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't surprise me. Jess is an absolute jet, and as you say, she did win last year. A bit of a smoky for mine that I think some people might be surprised, but I'm not surprised. this person's made team of the week so many times this year, and I think it's probably a bit underrated, and that is Amber Drummond from Belgrave.
Yeah.
Super strong performer. I think came runner-up in Belgrave's own Best and Fairest.
Okay.
Yep. I think she's a smoky. I think she's a shot. So we will see. Last cab off the rank, Div 2, women's.
Yeah, I've gone with, it feels like a bit of an obvious one. Ex-AFLW player, but Emerson Woods again had a brilliant season.
Back to back.
Yeah, back to back. But yeah, again, standout player and a standout side. Really, really hard to go past. She's been brilliant again this season. Really leads that midfield group. So yeah, I'm going to go with Emerson.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm going to go with Scarlett Henderson. Kicked 52 goals in this season, in the regular season, I should say, leading goal kicker in the competition, and broke the record for most amount of goals kicked in a season by a women's player, and to just go with all of that, winning the grand final as well. So it's pretty hard to go past, in my opinion.
I would also be a bit of a fairy tale finish if she gets a League Best Fairest on top of all of that incredible stuff across the year. She has, both of those girls have had incredible years. For me, I'm going to go with Jess Kennedy from Yay. I think it's super impressive that these guys, first off, that they only had their team this year. This was the first season they've had a women's team. They made finals. And Jess was the playing coach. So, again, she has that experience. She knows the game really well. She is former AFLW, VFLW, and just a really strong performer. Now, she wasn't listed in the best players all that often, but the coaches have a lot to do with that. And so I feel like that's because she's obviously not going to pick herself. Right? So I think, like, from my point of view, she should have been in there more than she was. Humble queen, of course, not going to pick herself. But I think she deserved to be in there more than she was, definitely. I think she's an absolute jet. She is our Women's Coach of the Year for 2025, and I think she's got a real shot at it.
No, definitely. Yeah. Well, that pretty much wraps up all there is to talk about on the Pedders Suspension and Breaks Outer East Football Netball show this week. Remember, if there's anything you'd like to send the show, make sure you leave a comment down below. Steph and Adam, thank you very much for joining me in the studio.
No worries.
Thank you very much.
For all the viewers out there, don't forget to get your game face on.